Pro boxing fans, we are here in London. It is fight week. With me, Adam Smith. Adam, how are you, sir? How's things?
Excited. Day by day, you just get the fire lit a little more, don't you? I thought it was quiet in here yesterday. Bit of icy tension maybe in the air, but yeah, more to see today. I've been hanging out at the hotel, catching up with some of the fighters. Spent a bit of time with Conor and with Nigel, which was good. A little bit with Team Eubank too, and chatted to Aaron McKenna and Liam Smith, and it's great. It's just really cool being around a big fight, especially in London, my home city, and can't wait for Saturday night.
I was going to ask you that question. You've obviously been around for a lot of big fights, especially at Sky, and even before that, you've seen a lot of big fights in your time. Do you feel that buzz for this fight? Are you already feeling it on the Wednesday before the fight?
I'm certainly feeling it from my friends who don't really follow boxing like we do. They want to know who's going to win the third fight, Eubank or Benn. It's as simple as that. They don't really care about the weight or the skill set. They just want to know who's going to win the war. I grew up as watching Chris Eubank. He was one of my heroes, senior, as a teenager. I always wanted him to beat Nigel Benn, and Nigel knows this, and I ended up working with Nigel and Chris at the back end of their careers, and actually loved working with Nigel then, got pretty close. So yeah, it's funny what happens in life, and I always liked the theatre and the drama of senior, and I like the sort of coldness and the premeditated performance of junior. That said, I love Conor. I think he's like his dad. He's very affable. He's raw and ready and heart on a sleeve, and yeah, polar opposites like their dads. And I remember when Conor came into the ringside set when he was probably 15 or 16, and his dad was saying he's going to be better than me, and all these years later they fight. It's bizarre. I don't know if anyone sort of predicted that at that stage that they would share a ring, but I think it had to happen at some point. I'm glad it's happening 2.5 years on. I thought Eubank was a really heavy favourite last time, but I think Conor's had a chance to at least grow into becoming a light middle, or a sort of very light middleweight, if you see what I mean. But yeah, I think he's got more chance on Saturday night than he did 2.5 years ago. I still think Eubank's favourite. But Conor Benn's just got something about him. There's a will to win, there's a ferocity, there's a belief that ride him off at your peril.
I was going to ask you that question leading up to this fight. That is the weight, the make it or break it for this fight. A lot of people are talking about Chris being a lot bigger than him. Now that's going to play the major factor. Do you feel like that is the major factor coming into this fight?
He is a lot bigger than him, naturally. There's no hiding that. Middleweight, super middleweight at times. Conor Benn, a welterweight. He wants to go back and try and win a world title at 147 pounds. So there is a big difference. But, there is a rehydration clause. There is a feeling that Chris at 35 may struggle a little bit at the weight, and Conor will be certainly eating what he likes and more natural. But I think it is a disadvantage probably after 6-7 rounds for Conor Benn. I think Conor wants to get him out of there early. I think that's the plan. But that fire will have to be just tamed a little bit by Tony Sims in the corner, which makes it fascinating. People are saying Conor Benn within 6 or Eubank later. Maybe Conor Benn wins on points. Maybe Eubank wins in a couple of rounds if Conor Benn walks onto silly shots like he did against Cedric Peno. Anything's possible come Saturday night. I hear it's going to be rather windy and cold at Spurs as well. So is there something in the air? Maybe some controversy, maybe a draw like there was at Old Trafford. 1993. I think Ben Shalom was born a couple of weeks before or a couple of weeks after that fight. I certainly remember it like it was yesterday. So, yeah, look, it's just great. It's happening. Shame Senior's not around, but I understand maybe the reasons why he doesn't want to be, and he's made that very clear. I just hope that father and son are good. That's the important thing, and we get a fantastic fight night on Saturday, and plenty of respect between the pair afterwards. I think there is some respect for the two of them as fighters. I don't think they like each other as maybe humans or as friends, but I think they respect each other as fighters, and I think we need that, and there's plenty of dedication, spirit, tenacity, will to win gone into this. I think neither will want to be the loser come Sunday morning, but one of them will be, unless, as I say, we get the draw that we did at Old Trafford, and wouldn't that be ironic?
Talking about junior and senior, he was asked a question on the Daily Mail boxing channel, and he was asked, what would you want your father to say if he was in your corner, if he turned up on Saturday? Now, what would you want him to say to you on Saturday? And he goes, I don't want him to say anything, I just want him in my corner. That's all I want, is my dad to turn up and be in my corner. Whilst there seems to be obviously a public sort of, not feud, but there is a back and forth and a disagreement in place, does sometimes the son need the father just to be there for him at times?
My best friend in boxing, Johnny Nelson, was just doing an interview, and he was saying how ironic it is in a way that at the beginning of his career there was senior and junior, and Nigel was out in Australia not really getting involved, and now Nigel's around Conor and living and breathing every moment, and senior's chosen not to, and he's got his reasons, as I said. That's why. But would I like him to be there? Of course. Would we all like him to be there? Not just for the story, the narrative, the hook, the four of them together, but yeah, for his son, I'd love to see him turn up on fight night and be there and be proud of his son. But from what I'm hearing and seeing and reading, he's not very proud of the egg incident. And I think look, there's been a lot of difficulty in both Chris Senior and Nigel's careers. I'm talking about Michael Watson, I'm talking about Gerald McClellan. Boxing's a dangerous business, so the most important thing in all of this is the health and safety of the fighters, and also the relationships with fathers and sons. And it's great to see Nigel here with Conor, but the most important thing is that Chris Senior and Chris Jr are together before, during, after, and on into the sunset. They're father and son. They've gone through a lot together. They're very similar in many ways. They're both stubborn in many ways as well. And they're very different people to Nigel and Conor. I like all four of them in different ways, and the sons are very similar to their dads. You just want everyone to be well after this fight. That's the most important thing.
100%. Just reiterate what you said about Senior. Look, his opinions are valid for himself and everything else, and so are Juniors and everyone else's. So I hope everything works out eventually. Simon Jordan's gone to see Turki Al-Sheikh.
I saw that.
Got an invite to the fight, but rejected it. He's called it a bit of he called it a bit of a hype job of a fight initially, but
I spent a lot of time with Simon on TalkSport, and I think he's actually busy on Saturday. I'm not sure whether he's away in Spain, but I said to ask him if he was going to come, and I think he sort of, because he said what he said about the fight, I think he's probably choosing to stay away. But yeah, I saw him pop up. My brother, we didn't agree on anything. I'd love to have been a fly on the wall, as I'm sure everyone would have been. I tried to get it out of Spencer Oliver. Was he hiding on the, just down around the meeting? But no, I look forward to seeing Simon in due course in the next couple of weeks, I'm sure, at TalkSport. And yeah, it'll be interesting to find out what actually happened in that meeting. But yeah, they're very intelligent guys. They've obviously got Turkey's got a huge influence on the sport of boxing. He's changed the landscape. His Excellency has done so much for boxing, and Simon is a boxing connoisseur. He's knowledgeable. He's a fan. He's passionate. He says what he believes in, and I love being on his show with Jim. And it's great. I mean, I've got a little slot on Drive now with Andy and Darren, which I'm loving. But I do also like being invited into Simon and Jim's show, because Simon always says what he believes. He's very passionate. He's a man of his principles and his words, and I'm sure Turkey respects him greatly.
Just a final one on fight, and just a final one on this interview. On Saturday night, what happens? I do want to ask you, a lot of people are saying, look, this is a fiery young Conor Benn, and this could be the right time to catch a Chris Eubank Jr. who's possibly coming towards the end of his career, and maybe his punch resistance has gone, or maybe this has gone, or that has gone. Do you feel like timing is everything for Conor, or do you feel like Chris has still got the skill set and still got the punch resistance and everything else to win this fight?
I've been a fan of this sport since I was 8-9 years old. Tommy Hearns got me into it, Barry McGuigan, Chris Eubank Sr. They were my heroes growing up. Matt Macklin, another hero of mine, just leaving the building. But no, I tell you what, about boxing, I spent my life in it. And I do think it's about two things. I think it's about levels, and I think it's about timing. And I'll go and say this: Chris Eubank Jr. has fought at a much higher level than Conor Benn. But the timing might be right for Conor Benn. So that sort of equals each other out. Sonny Edwards believes this is a fight that Chris Eubank Jr. really should win because of his size, his experience, and that level. And that if Conor Benn wins, he should get more plaudits, that it's not a 50-50 fight, that it's heavily weighted in favour of Chris Eubank Jr. However, Chris is 35, so there's lots of imponderables here. Timing might favour Conor Benn, levels certainly favour Chris Eubank, so if they sort of equal each other out, then we just have to wait and see what happens when they lock horns, because something's going to happen in this fight. Something either controversial or dramatic is going to happen in this fight. And I don't know whether it's Conor Benn throwing hell to leather and firing away a little bit like Nigel did against Michael Watson and then coming unstuck, or whether it's Chris that just maybe can't deal with it at this time of his career. It's a fascinating encounter, and look, we're all going to watch it, we're all going to be there, and the opinions are going to change on a daily basis, maybe an hourly basis, up to the ring walk. That's what we love. That's why we adore this sport. It's compelling, it's unpredictable, and you know what? No one knows what's going to happen come Saturday night.
Perfect. I think they are kicking us out of the venue. Just want to say on this last note, congratulations with everything that's happening to you right now. Obviously, you talked about being on Drive. You talked about being on DAZN commentary. Things are falling into place. So goal is good to hear from you, Adam, and no doubt I'll speak to you more in the future. I'm
just grateful to be back around the sport I love. I went through hell and back myself, recovering from cancer, and it's just nice to be back. And yeah, I'm really, really grateful to DAZN, to Talk Sport, and to you guys for having me back around.
Adam Smith, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.